two, three.
Let's go. I love to see the temple. I'm going there someday to feel the Holy Spirit, to listen and to pray for the temple.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. The music would let you know it is a temple ticker episode. If this is your first episode of the Cultural Hall, you'll think, man, all these guys do is talk about temples. And that's because that's what this episode is all about. The temple ticker, it is Corey K. Ward. I recently became Facebook friends with his mom. It's getting very, very serious here to have the Pharaoh reminded about how he got the nickname the Pharaoh. This is an all over the place sort of introduction. But his mom thought he to be like a royalty. Well, of course, the Pharaoh demands it, so he gets it. That's why we call him the Pharaoh. He prepares all of the notes, which you can find links to pictures, to Reddit threads, to pictures, to all the things about temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and not always just the temples too. Sometimes about particular meeting houses or wards, or we do a temple predictor, all sorts of things, anything in and around temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You want other news? We do those articles of news episodes. You want interviews? We do those as well. Corey, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really well, Richie.
Recently back from Mexico, it looked awesome being able to follow your trip. Your mom and I, when we were chatting on Facebook, we just wondered if you would ever come. I'm just teasing. How was it? What was the cool parts of Mexico?
Oh, it was really amazing. I got a piece of everything. I went to the big city. I went to small towns. I went to the mountains. I went to the beach. Saw some ruins. I saw some super modern buildings. So a little bit of everything.
And it was purely vacation, or was it?
Yeah, it was travel. I call it travel, not vacation, because it wasn't like super relaxing. I was out and about every day doing stuff. So,
is it one of those travel trips where you come home and you need a vacation from your traveling?
Exactly.
Okay.
I need to get some more sleep because I didn't get that much sleep.
Anything delicious that you're like, oh my gosh, man, you got to check this out if you ever get the chance?
Yeah, I went to Oaxaca, which is a state famous for its indigenous cultures and its cuisine. They're famous for their 7 flavors of mole. And if you ever get a chance to try those 7 flavors in some restaurant that maybe offers them in one platter, that's excellent.
That seems like it would be like the 7 deadly sins. Like this is the mole of gluttony and this is the mole of envy, right? No?
Maybe. It's more like there's a green one, a yellow one, a black one, a red one, and one that's called mancha manantial, which means to stain the tablecloth, I guess. So, yeah.
For people who don't know what a mole is, I think people have heard it, but maybe they haven't ever tried it before. It's certainly not something you don't drive up to the Taco Bell and be like, hey, a mole, please.
No, it's a sauce that has like something like 30 ingredients in it. So it takes a long time to prepare. Yeah.
Sounds delicious. Okay. All right. I'll try a mole. Whenever I hear a mole, I always think that's a mole. And that's not only the wrong culture, but also not the right words.
There you go.
Yep. Before we get started talking about temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I would to note, if you would like to sponsor a brand new microphone for Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself, we will mention you in every episode that he is on, saying Corey K. Ward with the microphone provided by your business, by particular individual. You've got a blog, whatever it is, you are welcome to do that, and you can reach out to us, contact@theculturalhall.com. We have an idea about what that will cost. Not any sort of shade on Corey, but I think it's high time. I think it's time we take it to the next level. I'm inspired by your mom approving my Facebook request. We're going to go one step further as we continue along this path. So contact
there you go. Let's do it.
The Salt Lake Temple is where we start. We talked about this a little bit in an articles of news just because it was such big news, but I knew that you would have a considerable amount more to weigh in on this whole thing. Tell me what about the Salt Lake Temple open house announcement?
Yeah, so this was first made known on the social media for President Nelson. Um, he just posted something short that said that, hey, on this February 14th, it was 172 years since the groundbreaking of this temple that's been under construction. That was under construction for more than 40 years. And then, and now has been under construction for, what is it, coming on 4 years, a little more than 4 right now.
Yeah, what feels like 40 years now.
There you go. And we've been having, it seems like monthly updates or semi-monthly updates about what's happening, all the twists and turns, which originally it was only going to be 4 years long. Then they said, okay, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 2026. But he did announce that an open house will occur April 2027 to October 2027. So, yeah, he invited everyone to prepare for that. And I'm sure anyone who's planning a trip to Utah would probably plan for that time as well.
Well, and I think a lot of people would come to Utah for that sometime during that particular time to be able to see it. Both those that aren't members of the church that are like, oh man, hey, I'm kind of fascinated about this. And also those that are members of the church that are like, I'm going to take this opportunity.
There you go. And something that I heard from someone who's close to someone in church headquarters is that there's not going to be like a typical like VIP week where they have just a bunch of tours. It'll be more kind of an ongoing, like as public officials or well-known people come to visit the temple, that they'll offer them a private tour or whatever. So you'll probably see during that 6 months, like, oh, this ambassador came, oh, this president came from this country to go see the temple, and they had a tour. So probably some sort of ongoing kind of media outreach like that. Yeah,
would have to be. And I made a prediction over 2 million people. Do you think we can get 2 million through?
I think that's a good number. I think something like Saratoga Springs, who had a 3-month open house, it was something like 500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So in a temple as large as this one, yeah, and in a summer months and everything. So it's a good bet. I think most people in Utah would try to go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, whether or not they're a member of the church or not, I feel like most people in Utah will go, yeah, I'll go check that out.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on if people see that there's like a big line or who knows. But I mean, not every day of those 6 months has to be busy, So
yeah, but it will be.
Maybe people will go multiple times.
Yeah, of course.
Because I live here, I'll probably go multiple times.
Yeah, yeah. Other thing, do you think that it'll be like as I predicted, where it'll be like, and we open up this general conference. You guys are welcome to go across after this session is over and begin the open house tour. I'm saying it's conference to conference, and we'll dedicate it as part of a session in the October conference. It's a culmination. It's a big deal. The entire church.
I like it. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yes. Approval from the Pharaoh, and if the Pharaoh wants it, the Pharaoh gets it.
Which I'm sure, like, this is still 2 years away.
Sure.
So I'm sure they're going to iron out a lot of details. Things will change. Who knows? But yeah.
Well, and then the other question, because there is that assembly hall in the Salt Lake Temple, do they do the dedicatory session in the assembly hall?
I believe they will. In all the other temples that have one, they've done the rededicatory sessions in there, like in Manti or Washington, D.C. So.
Hope so, and hope that we all get to be a part of it. So
we'll get to attend, yeah. Like when they dedicated the first time, they had like something like a month of dedications.
Oh wow!
And people from each town, a separate day, were invited to come and everything. So
not anymore. Not since satellites. One time. We're not doing 2 sessions. Late afternoon. Let's go. Anything else that we should know?
I think that's about it. I think we covered about everything.
Yeah, the speculation I've started to see, and someone told me this. I don't know if it's true because I don't know how you check on this. But there is a way that you can bet in Las Vegas if President Nelson will be alive for the dedication or not. I don't know how you check on those things. If someone knows how you check something like that out, but that is interesting to know that you can bet on something like that.
Yeah, he made it to do the announcement, so I think that's still notable.
Yeah, although notable with the Easter message for 2025 that it was President Oaks instead of President Nelson. So maybe that's a tell as far as we move forward. As far as other open houses, some that are actually beginning, Toronto, Ontario.
Yeah, this began about 2 weeks ago. It's going to go through March 8th. The Toronto Ontario Temple was renovated, and then we got some pictures of what the interior looks like. I like that it's still kind of reminiscent of that kind of late 80s, early 90s style. Um, for example, we see like in the endowment room, they have the wood paneling and kind of the blue curtains that looks like it's very much from the 90s, late 80s. Also like they have this kind of mural of, I think it's called, what's it called in the Bible when Jesus comes and then shows himself to his disciples? Like the ascension, no,
Yeah.
like the ascension or the Great Commission, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have that. I remember this painting being in the old Provo Temple before they demolished it. So that's pretty cool. They have it right in the lobby. They also have a cool like pulpit where they have a kind of cool leaf design. I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah, I think it definitely does feel a little bit old. So this is a temple that already existed. We shut it down and said, let's refurbish this a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They increased some of the, the heating, air conditioning stuff. It's located in the suburb of Brampton, Ontario. So keeping up with that.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, just keeping up with that tradition of, we have a long tradition of putting temples in suburbs of cities.
What I find fascinating and gain a greater appreciation for this every time I see the particular furniture that's inside the celestial room. You know that is researched and it is unique. Every single celestial room has different furniture with different ornamentation and things like that. There's a company in downtown Salt Lake. That's where they make it, and they are assigned like the different temples, and they research into what they want it to be and make it absolutely unique. It's not from, it's not an RC Willey in the suburbs of Toronto. Yeah, it's all absolutely custom for each of these celestial rooms, especially, but I think most of the temple.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
And actually for this next temple, I was going to specifically mention the furniture. The Auckland, New Zealand temple, this new temple, the second one to be built in New Zealand, has opened up, and it'll be open for tours until the 22nd of March. They had a media day on the 24th, and there's been quite the coverage. Even the church put out a media list of all the places that have covered it. So it's getting a lot of attention in the New Zealand media because it's also very prominent, just right there next to the main highway that goes to the airport from the city. You can't miss it.
And it's set up kind of on a hill a little bit so that like you can't miss it. Not only is it by the freeway like a San Diego or maybe like a DC, but it's also elevated above a lot of the area around.
Yeah, the church built an MTC on this area, and they built a chapel on the other side. And it was kind of like, what's this big land in the middle right here? What's that going to be for? So a lot of people predicted there'd be a temple here for probably 2 decades. But it was finally announced in, I think, 2018. One of the first ones to be announced by President Nelson. I really like they really leaned into the Maori designs. You see kind of like the swirls. I don't know all the names of these. I wish I knew what they were. But you see, you kind of almost like you kind of see traditional Maori people have tattoos that have these shapes, but you see them on the building outside. I really like. There's a picture kind of at sunset when the sun's shining, and it kind of does a golden glow on the temple, and it really makes those designs shine, as well as in the interior of the temple and the carpets of the celestial room and the ceiling room and everything. I was going to point out the couches in this temple because they're really cool. They have in the celestial room like a really curvy couch that I think is kind of unique. And in the waiting room, there's like this green couch that has like a couch on like seating on both sides.
Double couch. It's super cool. I'm looking at that right now. All the links for these things in the show notes, so you don't have to, be wondering what we're talking about. That's awesome. Leather too, it looks like maybe.
Yeah. And that's probably in the waiting room, like before you don't have to pass the recommend desk. So if you ever are in New Zealand and you don't have a temple recommend, you can still go see those couches.
You just need a place to sit. You can go see the cool couches. Does the Auckland temple have Is it unique with the stained glass? It seems like it's super stainy glassy, right? Like one of the rooms, it shows just this massive wall, and it seems like in a lot of our other temples, it'll be like there's the stained glass, but it's not really stained glass. And if you go on the outside, it doesn't really look like stained glass. It's sort of that faux thing. This looks like it's an actual stained glass that you can see both from the outside and see it right from the inside. Or am I mistaken? Is that everywhere?
It's mostly everywhere. But this, I would say it is a little bit larger than normal. That's for sure. Really large windows. Most temples nowadays have custom stained glass as well. I really like in the baptistry as well. They've been reusing the Idaho Falls temple has kind of this oxen design that's kind of like a super modern Art Deco style of oxen, and it looks like they they've now copied those oxen and put them in a few different temples, and
Mm.
it's also in this temple, and they've painted them a gold color, so it looks really good.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Then take us to, oh, and that gets dedicated on the 13th of April. Who's rededicating Toronto, and who is dedicating New Zealand?
Yeah, Toronto is De Vries Holland, and then Patrick Kieran will be in Auckland.
That's his first time out doing it solo, yeah?
No, he actually did Tallahassee last year.
Well, then, okay.
That
He's
was his
going
first
back there.
time. Yeah, so this is the second. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Lethbridge, Alberta. So back up north.
Yep. This temple is going to have a groundbreaking. We've gotten lots of updates about the site announcement and the rendering and the preliminary work that's been going on. So they're going to get a groundbreaking ceremony on the April 26th, and then Randle K Bennett, who is a general authority 70, and also a native of Magrath, Alberta, a small town only about probably half an hour from Lethbridge. Um, Shout out to the Strati family. That was my first companion on the mission from
Mhm.
Magrath, Alberta. So yeah, this temple will be closer to them than the Cardston, Alberta temple, which was like I think temple number 6 of the church.
Hmm.
So a really old temple. So now we'll have a temple even closer.
I like this. I think that you have brought this up. It seems like to me in the back of my mind, the site is going to be on Mauritania Road where it meets Whoop Up Drive.
Yeah, we can't mention this temple without that street.
Yeah. Yeah. Where the LDS temple? Yeah. Mauritania until it intersects with Whoop Up Drive.
I
You have to know why that is. I wonder. I'm gonna do some researching.
I think an episode I talked about it. It was like there's a fort nearby called Whoop Up, and it was thought maybe because of like cattle herding. I don't know. Something like that is what I remember. Maybe you can correct me.
Well, I won't correct you. I'll just spit. It's a. Here we go. There is a fort, Whoop Up. It was eventually adopted as the official name. That was the nickname. It was a whiskey trading post. It was originally Fort Hamilton in Lethbridge. I don't, but it doesn't. Oh wait. Oh, I just clicked away from it. Hang on. Whoop Up Trail. Okay, nope, never mind. Whoop Up. Hold on, one more click. Give me this. Whoop Up, a shortened form of Whoop It Up, means to celebrate boisterously. Whoop Up, a form of Whoop It Up, recalls Fort Whoop Up, the fort built in 1869. The fort, which was the center of the illegal exchange with Aboriginal peoples of whiskey for buffalo hides, was abandoned in 1874. So the Mormons are going to be whooping it up.
And this temple is also located right next to that hockey rink that is there too. Which, funny story, on my trip in Mexico when I was at the beach town, I was at this restaurant where they were playing the Canada US hockey game,
Mm-hmm.
and when Canada won in overtime, everyone stood up and sang the Canadian national anthem
In Mexico?
in this small little town of Mexico. So I guess a lot of Canadians like to go to this place, and they were very happy they won.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. And now, what? The United States is the 16th state of Canada. Isn't that the joke or whatever?
Oh yeah, they have 10
Because
provinces, or
10.
10.
We're the 11th. My bad.
Yeah, 10 provinces, 3 territories. So we're in the 11th. Yeah.
Okay. So then we go to temple sites revealed and renderings released. I like that we say revealed.
I don't know. That's just what I picked
Yeah.
for that
Made
heading.
known.
Made down, announced. I don't know. Yeah, so the Culiacan Mexico temple, they announced the site for this temple. This has been kind of a long time coming. I think it was announced maybe like 4 years ago, so kind of a little bit slower in happening. They announced a 5 acre site on Avenida Millennium in the Colony Country Tres Rios, and it's located right next to, not right next to the river, but kind of in an area that's in between the river and near a country club golf course.
Hmm.
So kind of a more, affluent area
Which
of
is
the city.
typically where they go.
There you go. And Culiacan is probably kind of like the epicenter right now of cartel violence in Mexico. I always hear of things that come out of Culiacan that are happening. So it's really great that the church invests in this city that is having a hard time right now.
And the temple will be a fairly small temple, 10,000 square feet.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Um, Somewhat standard for the ones that they're building a lot in Mexico right now. There's three stakes in the city, probably a total of maybe six will go to this temple. So it's probably the right size.
then we go to the Philippines, and I can't say that name without knowing that I haven't said that name correctly.
Okay, me too. Let's try it. Tuguegarao. Tuguegarao.
I'll take it.
Okay, Tuguegarao Philippines temple. They announced a 6.3 acre site. Um, and it's located right across the street from the city hall
Hmm.
of this area. So it's kind of right there by the seat of government. Um, so probably going to get a lot of attention from the government leaders, of course. And then they also just released a rendering of it as well in one announcement. It's a single story, 18,000 square foot temple. Um, I haven't seen this design used in the Philippines yet. It's been used in other areas. So it's not, I don't know, it's not very, doesn't stand out particularly in its design. It's just kind of a simple, not necessarily classical, not necessarily modern, just kind of somewhere in the middle right there.
Hmm. Hmm.
A nice little cupola on top.
One of 13 temples, either announced under construction or completed in the Philippines. And what else am I seeing? The sixth temple for the Philippine island of Luzon. So that's a big deal. The other thing that I thought was interesting, patron housing and a distribution center also on the same property. That's why maybe it's a little bit bigger site than some of these other ones.
Yeah. Okay, that would be good for people that live way up north on this island.
Lehi, Utah, and then we'll take a quick break. This is a
Yeah, we already
massive temple.
we already knew this is going to be built on the kind of the Traverse Mountain area next to the Texas Instruments campus in a new development. It is going to be 85,000 square feet, 3 stories. It looks a lot like the floor plan for the Orem Temple or the Taylorsville, the New Desert Peak one, the up and coming Lone Mountain one. But I am a little perplexed because those temples are only 70,000 square foot, where this one is 85,000 square foot. So it makes me think that maybe it could be one of those that has two baptistries.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so those other ones didn't have those, but maybe because it's Lehigh, super righteous there. They need two
Yes.
baptistries. I
Just
don't know.
ask them. Just ask them how righteous they are. Yeah, I would think it would have to be. It would have to be something with two baptistries, because otherwise, what are you doing with 3 stories?
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, it's kind of like a white color with some kind of bronze designs around the windows and a kind of a tall steeple with kind of a curved edges. So of course no RNA. So
Yeah, so interesting to note, Orem, it doesn't look like it's a 70,000 square foot temple. Orem looks fairly small. Taylorsville looks massive just because of the way that it's built, and I haven't seen the Tooele or the Lone Mountain, obviously, as those things are being built. Pocatello the same. Um,
yeah,
but
but I think it's because of like the pitched roof on Taylorsville kind of makes it look like it's kind of taller and has more space inside,
yeah,
where it's probably just kind of a big attic is all. So
that's where we keep the Urim and Thummim.
There you go.
The granite vault was full. We need to start moving some stuff out. So in the attic of the Taylorsville Temple, only the non-burnable stuff in case Lex de Azevedo makes his way to that temple. Too soon? Let's take a break. When we come back in the second half, we've got a temple president and matron that have been announced, and we've got some drama and maybe some drama put to bed. We'll come back and do that in the second half of the Temple Ticker. BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Uh-huh. Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the cultural hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com. Here in the second half of the Temple Ticker, let's get right to it with Temple matrons and presidents announced.
Yeah, I typically mention this when a new temple has a temple president and matron announced because it's a sign that it's coming up on completion, and they'll probably announce a dedication somewhat soon. So the first one is the Bahia Blanca, Argentina temple. So the Horacio Paez and Sonia Paez will be the matron and president, sorry. And they are from a town called Olivaria, which is just, probably an hour or so from Bahia Blanca. So they're from there.
So local folks, which is a big deal. I think that's significant, especially when in a day and in an age where we had to, come down, we had to bring the church, the blah, blah, blah. Now it's people that are like, no, we're here. We've seen the growth. What an awesome opportunity.
Exactly. And then same in Elko, Kendall Bowler and Robin Bowler will be the temple president and matron. They are also from Elko. So we'll just see that as well.
So then we get to temple construction updates. I thought this was interesting. We have an update on the Bengaluru, India temple.
Yeah. So some new images have been posted on the Jesus Christ Temple's website. And from these pictures, we can now deduce that construction has been delayed indefinitely on this temple. It looks like they've boarded up the windows. There's no construction equipment. There's no scaffolding anymore. So it looks like for at least a few months, they've stopped doing this. And so there's a few theories I've seen online of why it may have been delayed. Some just say that, this just could be something with the contractor, that maybe there's a labor shortage. But what I've also seen from some sources is that the Indian government has been cracking down on foreign organizations. And then specifically, a lot of Christian ones have been having a hard time to complete their ministries. So that's also part of the reason why a lot of missionaries don't go to India, because there's just not a lot of visas available for missionaries. And there's right now the government's really focusing on kind of Hindu nationalism, trying to focus India on being kind of a Hindu country. And so there's kind of a suspicion of these foreign entities. And so because the church is largely foreign from India, the church may be having a hard time sending the money to fund the construction of this temple, because there's only about 13,000 members in India.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of doubt that the tithing that from these saints would be enough to generate enough to build this large temple. So I don't know how I can't predict how this is going to end. If the temple, there'll be some sort of settlement that the church can finish this funding. If maybe they can direct all the tithing money from these saints to this temple, it may just take a little bit longer to build. I don't know. But as of right now, it looks like construction has stopped.
So with a little quick Googling, as you were kind of explaining what's going on, What I found out is that as of February 12th, 2025, they have revoked the FCRA license for the church, which is the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. It is a legal requirement for individuals, associations, or companies in India that wish to receive the foreign donation. So, with it being absolutely revoked, man, they just have to shut that thing down.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems pretty significant.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. What do you do though? Because I feel like you're saying, right? If you get the money from the saints there to be able to contribute it, so it's not foreign money, and there's so few saints, but it takes the millions of dollars. Are you putting up a thermometer in your ward house and saying, "All right, we've just got," you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it seems unfortunate that there can't be within the billion-dollar organization that the church is some way to circumvent and just be like, guys, we started, allow us to finish this. So we need to move to India. That's what I'm learning. We need to
I
go
guess, yeah,
there.
the church needs to get a lobbyist and somehow get, I don't know, get that permit back.
What about the Wellington, New Zealand temple?
Yeah, listen, a little bit better progress. It went through the neighborhood reviews, the city reviews, and it looks like it got approved. So or at least, let's see, the headline says that um, they have the go ahead, the resource consent go ahead. So I'm not quite sure if that means that now they can just continue the process or if the process is done. So probably we could see a groundbreaking announced for this temple within a few months.
I like that within this story that it's like some people called it an eyesore. And it's like the thing's not built. What are you guys, we haven't started construction. It's a absolutely beautiful building. You can say that it doesn't fit. You can say that it's too high. You can say that it's not like structured for the area, blah, blah, blah. But an eyesore seems like we're grabbing for something. It'll be an eyesore. I don't know. A sore
Yeah,
thumb, a fish out of water, all better descriptors than, I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. It looks like from the report they said all of these factors led us to conclude that the effects of the proposed building height would be no more than minor. And the commissioners agreed that the temple would become a landmark in the city over time and a visual signpost for the people traveling and navigating to the city. So,
Yeah, again, you go to Whoop Up Road and turn right in. I'm just teasing. Different country. Different country. Take me then to, as we're looking at these different temples, we get now to I got distracted in my list. So now, there was trouble in Cody, Wyoming.
yeah, you briefly talked about this, I think, with maybe Verlin. But I remember when we were covering this saga, something happened where I remember the church who was like the city planner, basically was telling the planning and zoning board about like, this is what you're voting on. But it was kind of like they didn't understand what they were voting on, and maybe it wasn't completely correct. And so now, as the Supreme Court is hearing the case for this temple, the church attorney did admit that the town planner gave bad advice to the planning and zoning board, which led to its approval. So I don't know how that's going to go in with the legal arguments, if that somehow has has some sway with the
Well, I mean,
judges. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I don't know, and I would be curious to find out. Maybe I need to get someone from Cody on here. It seems like I should have done that a long time ago, or maybe a couple people have the round table discussion. Let's just hear it. I don't think that at this point, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, look no further than Bangalore. They could, shutter it and put it down. But like there to know as many people in that community that don't want that thing there, and then to have member of the church give bad advice to the people that were voting. He's a member of the church who stands to directly benefit. Now, I'm not saying this is what happened, right? This is all just speculation and allegations, but it does seem like a case could be made where it's like, oh, yeah, I didn't know. Or what I fear would be even worse, which would be it's my covenanted duty to make sure that the work of the Lord goes forth and, the perishing of a few for the greater, like the way that we can construe some of these things in our brain to be like, this is what I needed to do, or this was a righteous thing to do that. I worry that it's any of that. And it just doubles and triples the amount of animosity that the people of the town would have, knowing member of the church was the one who gave bad advice to the people who voted the way that they didn't want, that the town didn't want them to do because they didn't know what they were voting for. Like it just, I feel like it should be someone from the 12 who's like, guys, do over. Let's start this whole thing again. We'd like to have a temple here. We'd like it to be here. What can we do to make it happen as opposed to all of this? I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like the Supreme Court justice hearing this said that he didn't think that the town planner had any sinister motives, but I don't know, he did agree that it was unfortunate that it happened that way.
Yeah, because I don't think they can go back on it. That's the thing. It's been approved.
And now they've started construction, so
Yeah.
they'd really have to. And then speaking of that, it looks like now there's a new controversy because it looks like the person that owns land next to the temple wants to rezone the land. Currently, it is zoned as residential rural, and the owner of this land wants to rezone it to residential medium low density, which would basically allow kind of lot sizes that aren't as large. So if they wanted to build this land, the houses would still be single family, no apartments or anything, no townhomes, but just like you wouldn't have this gigantic yard to put your horses, I guess. And this is kind of what the neighbors, I guess, probably feared, that the temple would also bring something like this. So it looks like the planning and zoning meeting was very contentious, and they tabled the decision. So we'll see what else happens there.
But what I want to know is, are Glenn and Erica Nielsen, and I already know the answer to this question because I just said their last name, the property owners that lie directly southwest of the construction site, are they members of the church?
Well, apparently the land was donated by a member of the church. So you would think maybe also the people next to it. This may be the same owner.
I'm
You
just,
never know.
I know that I am just throwing all of this at this and that I don't have anything founded in it, but if watching the news today has taught me nothing, is that you have to be aware, and insert whatever day I could be watching the news as you're listening to this. You have to be very aware because you can go, oh, wait a minute. That benefits this. That benefits that. That is helping that guy. That is making that people, it is not beyond the scope that something like that could happen.
Yeah, I guess.
Your property becomes a lot more valuable if you can divide, if it can only be 4 homes, or if it can be 40 homes, you're making exponential amount more money. It's not like it's $2 million worth of land and then, it stays $2 million worth of land, but it's divided by that. No way, not a chance, especially with a temple going in that ups the value of the land around it.
Yeah, what can I say?
Yeah, why am I so angry? You're like, yeah.
No, it's just small town politics, I guess.
Yeah.
Does
All
that
right.
to
I'll
you.
get someone from Cody on the phone. I'll get someone from Cody on an interview. We got to. Really, I'll try and get a city council person or something like that. Doesn't seem like there will be this fight, though, down in Nevada for the Lone Mountain Temple.
Well, they've been having this fight, and it looks like it's going to be ending because the lawsuit that the residents took to block the construction of the temple was dismissed by the judge. And so, they said they didn't have legal standing to bring their claim. So that's kind of, unless there's some sort of appeal, that's probably the end of that. Meanwhile, also the city of Las Vegas is looking at imposing limits on the lighting of this temple. It just looks like, that they want to make sure that, probably similar to like in Heber Valley, they want to make sure that they restrict the lighting to only 4,000 Kelvin, and that it turns off between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So,
which doesn't seem outrageous. Interesting, though, and you can find the link to this story in the show notes, is that the temple, as they talk about it being constantly lighted, they make the religious symbolism of continuous illumination, which I thought was interesting. Always illuminated, always receiving light. I thought that was an interesting case for keeping the lights on at the temple. Yeah, turn them off. It's nighttime.
So they have a picture on the story of the Bountiful Temple on the side of the mountain. That's probably one of the most well-lit temples of the church that you can see for a long ways when you're
But
going down the highway
are
or
most
whatever.
temples lit overnight?
I think it depends on the location. I think if they have some sort of agreement like this, then they're not. But I think most probably are.
But so like my house is lit overnight. We have a light post out in front that sort of
Okay.
keeps our house lit so that, if anyone wanted to come and whatever, our cameras would pick up what they look like because it's lit. That's not the same thing as illuminating my entire house. I would hope that like we'd have some lights on so you could be like, is that someone over there? No, that person shouldn't be there. That I've got no problem with. We need full wattage, everyone, full scale lights. Someone help me. Olden times we're looking for it as a marker to land a plane. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like some things I could see a case for it, but I hate the crudeness of this example, and someone please feel free to take me to task. But I guarantee you that at the second coming of the Savior, he's not going to be like, guys, I would have come, but the lights, why weren't the lights on? Like, it's just, it's this thing that we want to do, that we feel like we need to do, that why are they trying to stop us? Like, be good citizens. If your neighbor was illuminating their house all night in a dark sky community, you would be pissed. Let us not piss off people. Is that too harsh?
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, now I want to go turn on all the lights around my house. What? I'm sorry. I appreciate it. As far as you and I chatting go, is if something big happens, we'll probably do another one of these. But otherwise, I would say start getting your temple predictions ready. I've said Spanish Fork. That's my one. And then there was an international one that I said. Do you remember where that is?
You said Costa Rica.
Yeah. Costa Rica, because one of the apostles was down there. Yeah.
I would just caution about wherever you see the apostles go, doesn't mean there's going to be a temple. I see a lot of people online being like, oh, there's going to be a temple there because he's there.
Yeah.
But the apostles go everywhere, whether there's a temple or not. And he actually was at the temple in Costa Rica. So you'd be predicting a second one.
Okay. I'll take that under advisement, but I'm still calling it out. Spanish Fork, and I'm calling out, that's in Utah, by the way. And then also Costa Rica. And I've got to think 25%, and we'll talk about this as we get the Temple Predictor episode happening. I've got to think 25% of the new ones, which will be between 13 and 18 temples, will be on the continent of Africa. The growth in Africa is unreal, and it just doesn't seem to be stopping. So that's my rough predictions. I'll do better the next time we chat.
There you go. Yeah, I'll prepare too.
Okay, contact at theculturalhall.com if you would like to sponsor Corey K. Ward's The Pharaoh's new microphone, y'all. It can be the I don't know, the Mole, could be the Mole microphone. That'd be 7 different settings for it. I don't know, whatever it wants to be. Contact at theculturalhall.com. We will talk about what that would look like. Corey, I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
I hope that if you weren't able to listen this week, that we will listen next week.
And that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger, with a U, will be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the
Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Cultural Hall show.